Hello, I just wanted to thank you for clicking on my video, and I wanted to let you know not only do I create content in my YouTube channel here, Class in a Glass, but I'm also on Twitch where I play single-player games, multiplayer games, I do movie reviews, cartoon reviews, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Also, it would be a big help if you can check out my Patreon where you can gain access to audio commentaries, reactions, and the ability to submit questions for my podcasts and videocasts. And all that content can be found in the links below. In the meantime, enjoy the video. But now we must get into the review. And chat, we're opening up, and Spider-Man, he's having some issues, chat. He's got the bubbly guts. His tum-tum is not feeling good. He's got this horrific pain on his sides, chat. It's near his kidneys. He's got horrible kidney stones. Spider-Man, stop eating all the junk food. You're letting yourself go, you bastard. What are you doing to yourself? But he's still trying to do his Spider-Man thing, chat, his Spider-Man shtick. He's going after these criminals who just robbed it looks like a convenience store, chat. He lands on top of their car, and he gets to their fucking move and just starts punching them, chat, bludgeoning them and everything. But then he's got those pain in the kidneys again. He's like, oh my God. And they're like, there's something wrong with Spider-Man. We can throw him off of us. But chat, they end up crashing their goddamn car. Spider-Man, he's thrown off of it, and he's just writhing on the New York street, chat. It's like, what are you going to do? And these three jabronis, they just walk over and is like, yeah, we'll be famous for killing this spider. And Spider-Man's like, am I really going to go out this way being killed by three goddamn hoods? Like this? Really? Not like an epic battle in New York City against one of my most dangerous foes? No, three goddamn jabronis. And they're about to shoot him with his laser gun shot. But then the popo shows up. The police show up, and they start blasting at the bad guys. And they're like, they chase him off. And they're like, here's the money, police. And they're like, don't hurt us. And Spider-Man's like, this is my opportunity. I don't know what's happening. But he fucking swings off. The cops are like, wait, Spider-Man. They're going to try to arrest him, chat? We don't know. But he swings off, and he's like, what is this pain? I never felt this before. This is crazy. And eventually, Chad, he's just like, oh, I gotta go talk to Dr. Crawford. Dr. Crawford, who is the fiancé of one Craven, Sarah got, what's the fucking name? Craven the Hunter. I forget what his real name is, Chad, but she's fucking engaged to Craven the Hunter. And Spider-Man went to her at the end of the previous episode for help, Chad, to help, because he is currently mutating into something, Chad. The X-Men couldn't help him. Charles Xavier couldn't help him. He went to one of his closest friends who he helped, Dr. Crawford. And because she's working on his DNA and hopefully come up with a serum that can cure his mutation. And so he goes to her and he's like, I'm in so much pain. She's like, well, I'm here to show you, Spider-Man. The serum, it's working on your DNA. It's erasing the mutation. He's like, that's fucking great. Give it to me. He's like, we can't use it yet. I mean, it's only been reacting for a few minutes. We have to keep it at least for a day to see what changes it goes through. He's like, I don't have time for that. And he goes, and he starts throwing shit around the room. He's getting very aggressive. He's like, Spider-Man, what are you doing? It's like, you gotta fucking give me that vial, bitch. It's like, Spider-Man. He's just freaking out. Meanwhile, the police, they're like, what's going on up there? They run up there, chat. And Dr. Crawford's like, Spider-Man, you're turning into the very thing you don't want to turn into. He's like, oh my God, you're right. I'm sorry I said those mean things to you. I'm sorry I was destroying all this equipment. And she goes, listen, just take the serum, but be careful. I mean, just you think about this before you take it. He goes, don't worry, I will. I will think about this. And he swings off, chat. He swings off into the night of New York. And eventually he goes back to the laboratory, chat. And he's experimenting on his blood to see what the reaction will be to the cure. Meanwhile, we cut back down to the grounds of the campus, chat, where fucking Felicia Hardy, she's just strutting around. She's having a good time. And fucking Michael Morbius, being a creeper, comes up behind her and gives her a good old pat. She's like, Michael, what are you doing? He's like, Felicia, I love you so much. It's been great to get to you. They start smooching, chat. They've been having a grand old time. Like, they're just enamored with each other. But Michael Morbius, he's just like, but I love being with you, Felicia, but I also have to concentrate my research too. So if you don't mind, take some days off from the smooching and the hot, sweaty sex. And she goes, don't worry about it, schoolwork, and you're great in bed anyway. And he's like, thank you. I shall now tell you my tragic backstory. And he goes on about it. It's like, I came to America to learn about genetics and medicine, because in the old country of Transylvania, my community, my town was afflicted by a horrific disease, and no one knows a cure for it. People have been dying. I vowed to my countrymen and women that I would come up with the cure. And that's why I'm in New York City studying all about this stuff. She goes, Dad is really altruistic. And he goes, yes, that is why I must become Dr. Kirk Connor's assistant. And I can't let that son of a bitch Peter Parker get the job, okay? I don't trust him. I don't like him, Felicia. And she goes, well, Peter's kind of a flake, but you should be nice to him. He's like, fuck that. I'm going to go check on my research. So Peter, meanwhile, he's experimenting and everything, but he feels that horrific pain in the side. It's like, oh, whoa. All right, enough research for tonight. And so he goes ahead and puts his blood and the cure inside. He's like, all right, that's good. But then someone was watching, Chad. It's Michael Morbius. And he sees Peter leave. He's like, that guy's got some kidney issues. That's fucked up. But I'm going to go ahead and steal what he has. And so he opens up the locker. And he's like, And he analyzes. He's like, oh, my God. Whatever this is, he has somehow created a super advanced genetic code within his blood, giving you super strength and other kinds of abilities. He's going to get the fucking internship with Dr. Kirk Connors. He's going to get the money that I need. Without that money, I can't help my fucking countrymen and women. Oh, I must replicate this. I must understand and replicate this results. And so, chat, he takes it to his secret laboratory. Meanwhile, we cut to Felicia Hardy, and she's, about to meet fucking Michael for a good old date. And he told her to meet her at this one location. She goes up there. She's all these wires and things go up to this one room. And she goes up there, and she sees all this advanced equipment from the university. Computers and devices and power sources. And the neurogenic combinator, where the fuck it is called, chat. The big old mutant gun. The mutant gun's there. And she's like, what? And then Michael goes, yeah. And he's like, stop doing it. Stop creeping up on me. He's like, I'm sorry. Did you expect Bela Lugosi? It's like, all right, a little on the nose, Marvel. Come on now. And she goes, oh, fuck off. He's like, listen. She's like, well, how did you get all this equipment up here? He's like, I borrowed it. What do you mean you borrowed it? You mean you pilfered it from the lab? He's like, don't worry. Dr. Kirk Connors, he's not coming back for like another week or two. I'll eventually, I'll take it back and everything. It's on loan, if you will, Miss Felicia Hardy. And she goes, what are you trying to do? And he's like, well, and then that's when he goes into his origin story and shit, I think, again. And he's like, well, I'm trying to fucking find a cure for my people, and this is the only way I can do it. And Parker has this amazing research I'm trying to replicate. He's like, did you steal this from Parker? He goes, no, I didn't steal from Parker, not at all. And she's like, okay. And then a bat attacks. It's like a little vampire bat. She goes, ah! She starts freaking out. He's like, don't worry, it's a little vampire bat. And he's like, are these the things you're experimenting on? She's like, yeah. So my people believe that these bats, they're the ones that actually initially carried the disease, and so I've been experimenting on them, and but they're harmless. They haven't been exposed to anything. He puts the little bat back in the cage, and she's like, oh, thank God. You're still on for dinner and hot, sweaty sex later? He goes, hell yeah, I am. And then eventually she leaves. And like during this whole thing, Jay's like, all right, I gotta do my experiment now. So he starts experimenting, chat, hits the fucking the Peter Parker blood with the irradiated energy of the neurogenic combinator, where the fuck it's called. And he hits it, chat, but when he's distracted, then the fucking vampire bat gets out and he goes to feed on the blood as the neurogenic blast is hitting it. And he sees the bat and he's like, what are you doing? Get out of here. And the bat's like, fuck you, don't swing at me, asshole. And he attacks Michael Morbius and he bites him. He's like, oh, my hand. And he falls on the ground, chain. He begins writhing in pain, just much like Peter Parker did. Much like Peter Parker did when he had the bubbly guts and the kidney stones. And then, chat, we see him. He is transformed. Not into Michael Morbius, chat, but into Morbius, the living vampire. And eventually he comes to, and he's like, I feel fucking great. Until he sees himself, he's like, oh my God. He is chalk white, chat. His hair has become blue. His nose has become deformed. He has red bloodshot eyes. And he's got little suckers on his hand. Little holes on his hand, little suckers. And he's like, oh, but I have this insatiable hunger. And he goes out. I can levitate. He can fly too, Jay. He can fly. He goes out into the night. And he sees those creatures. What music they make. A lot of Bela Lugosi Dracula references in this episode. Meanwhile, we cut back to Peter Parker. He's still having tummy troubles, yet he's just not feeling good. He goes talk to his good friend Bruce, who is a gargoyle. He's having issues. He's like, I just don't know what to do with my life. Bruce is like, oh, I don't know, maybe Dr. Crawford's right. Maybe I should wait for the actual results before I use this on myself. And MJ, oh my God, MJ, because earlier, chat, we see him. He's like wanting to talk to her, and he sees her walking out of the building. He's like, I don't know, I haven't called her in a week. And he walks off, and MJ, she's talking to Liz Osborne, who's another fucking bender of some kind, chat, taking the drugs and taking the alcohol too. And she, fucking MJ's like, oh, Peter, hi. But he ignores her, chat. And MJ's like, I wonder what's wrong. And, you know, Liz, in her stupor, says, oh, I don't know what's wrong with him. He must be crazy to ignore a hot one like you, MJ. Even Liz Osborne knows, like, MJ, she's fucking sex. She's like, oh, stop it, Liz, stop it. And that's when Peter, he stopped. Thank you. Who was that? Who was that? Oh, what the hell? Axe Flippy, thank you for the follow. Welcome to stream. Hope you're doing very well today. In the middle of my Spider-Man review. Peter's got the hots for MJ, but he can't talk about it, though. He's not feeling good. He's got the bubbly guts. And so he talks to Bruce. He works everything out, and he says, okay, I'm going to wait for the results from Dr. Crawford. I'm going to spend as much time as I can with Mary Jane Watson. That's the healthiest thing to do. And meanwhile, he swings. Maybe she's at the cameras. Meanwhile, chat, we're following this fucking nerd. He's walking with his books. He's reading books in the middle of the night. What are you reading books in the middle of the night? And then Michael Morbius goes, blah, and the guy goes, ah! And Michael Morbius just falls on top of this guy and begins to suck, chat, with his hand sucker. Sucks the sweet plasma. Because they can't say blood in Spider-Man shit. They can't say blood. They have to say, I crave plasma. And he sucks this little guy dry. And he goes, ah! People are screaming. They come over to him. Michael Morbius has already left. They turn him over, and he's just this fucking mummified-looking corpse, chat. This is like, it's terrible. Someone call an ambulance and a fucking morgue, too. And Morbius, he can't get enough of that sweet, sweet plasma. And so he goes around, chat, and he sees a new victim, a girl nerd. He goes, ah, and she's like, no, get away from me. He throws a book at him. He's like, I don't get your book away on my goddamn face. And he's just about to suck the blood from her, chat, the plasma. But then fucking, who shows up, chat? Spider-Man shows up, and he kicks Morbius. And Morbius is like, get away from me, get away from me. Morbius is like, hell no, you're trying to assault or do really bad things to that woman. And they get into a big old wrestling match, chat. But during this wrestling match, Spider-Man, he feels that overwhelming pain yet again. He can't control it. These intense spasms. And Michael Morbius attacks him, but only to get away. And Spider-Man's like, what the fuck is with this guy? What's going on? But he sees a cassette player on the ground. He's like, what's that? It's Michael Morbius' cassette player. He's always recording himself. He has his notes. And he takes it. What? Edgy Berserker? Thank you so much for resubscribing 6 months in a row, my friend. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Drink the forbidden plasma juice, Chris. Do it. I must. I crave it. Thank you, man. You have something the Fantastic Four animated show and Iron Man. That's cool that's awesome. Really nice. This is all connected in the same universe. X-Men, Hulk, Spider-Man, Iron Man. They're all connected in the same. Fantastic Four, they're all connected in the same. They all share the same cinematic universe or the animated universe. It's pretty cool. They did a couple crossovers, not many. I wish they did more, but it was fun when they did. And so he's listening to all this shit, and he's like, oh my god, this creature is Michael Morbius. And he learns, like, oh no, he experimented with my blood, and I guess a bat got on it, and it bit him, and he's going through the same things I'm going through right now. Oh my, I have to help him. And he's going on, he eventually finds him again, chat. He confronts him. He's like, Michael, I'm here to help you. And Michael's like, stay back. And then the sun comes up. He's like, ah! And then he falls down. Spider-Man catches him. Foot lands on top. And they both spasming because of the pain they're experiencing. And Michael Morbius, he turns to human. And it's like, oh, I guess the sunlight, for whatever fucking reason, turns him back into a human, chat. I was like, okay, sure. But then all the kids are like, what's Spider-Man doing to that guy? Why is he writhing on top of that guy? And they're like, Spider-Man, stop writhing. He's like, ah! And he runs away. Police are trying to blast him, chat, but he gets away. And they take Michael Morbius to the... Oh, wait. There's another scene I missed. Sorry. So right before all this happens, chat, Spider-Man realizes, okay, well, like me, I wanted to go spend as much time as I can with my family members and loved ones. I went to MJ. So Michael Morbius, he's going to go to the person he loves most, at least I know of, and it's fucking Felicia. And so Peter Parker, he shows up in his, civvies, chat, in his civilian clothes. He's like, Felicia, you got to stay away from Michael Morbius. She goes, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, he's dangerous. She's like, Peter, listen, I'm with Michael. You're being really creepy right now. Get out of my apartment or I'm going to fucking call the police. And she gets him out of there, chat. And she goes back to reading. Then Michael shows up. She goes, ah! He's like, yeah, you should listen to Peter now, shouldn't you? He's like, I need you, Felicia. But he wants to suck her sweet, succulent plasma. But he can't do it, chat. He's in a battle himself. And that's when Spider-Man shows up. And they get into a wrestling match. They go back to campus. Fucking Michael, he falls off the goddamn building. Human fucking Michael Morbius again. There you go. And Spider-Man, he goes off, and he's still feeling that pain in the sides. Doesn't know what to do about it. Michael's eventually taken to the hospital. And Felicia, she shows up. He's like, I'm one to see Michael Morbius. And they're like, hold on. I'll take you to him. Meanwhile, we cut to his hospital room chat. And the sun, like a whole day has apparently passed already. And the sun is setting. And he transforms back into Morbius the Living Vampire. He fucking flies out of there, Chad. He gets the hell out. And like, I don't care about this. I'm off of my goddamn own. Meanwhile, Spider-Man, he says, so you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to take the formula, okay? Nothing. Felicia hates me. I'm dealing with fucking Michael Morbius. I want to be free. Meanwhile, Dr. Crawford, she's looking at the results, and his cells have mutated further, chat. The exposure to the serum has mutated them even more. She realizes, oh my god, if he takes this, his mutations will increase tenfold. And she's like, I gotta call up my hubby. And she calls off Sergei Kravenov, chat. Fucking Kraven the Hunter. He's in Africa right now. She's like, Sergey, you gotta get your tight ass over here, and you gotta help me with Spider-Man. He goes, I'm gonna be right there, honey. He hangs up. He's on his way to New York City, chat. Meanwhile, Dr. Crawford's like, I hope he doesn't take it. We cut back to Queen's chat, where he's in his bedroom, and he might have drank the serum, because now he's feeling an even more intense pain, and these fucking weird pustules are coming out of his sides. Like, ah! He screams, and these fucking 4 arms burst. These 4 human arms burst from his sides, chat. And he's like, oh my god, I'm a monster. And then cut. And that is Spider-Man episode 19, chat. Morbius. What's going to happen next? This is not good. It's not good. There's some bad stuff ahead, chat. More Marvel players shall get involved. Maybe one Frank Castle.